Hi, it's Mary Lynn. Thanks for checking in. Want to hear about the time I almost became a prostitute? Keep listening.
What's happening today? What are you thinking about? When you're walking down the street, is your head in a cloud? Don't you want to know what's going on? Let's go! Checking in with Mary Lynn. Checking in with Mary Lynn. Checking in with Mary Lynn. Let's check in with Mary Lynn.
Podcasting is happening. It just starts. And then you're going. Hey guys, I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a responsible person. My eyes pop awake at 7 in the morning. My feet start moving. I do dishes. I unload dishes. You know, depending on where we're at in the dish doing cycle. Me personally, I like to wash as I go. And it drives Matt nuts. I don't know if it drives him nuts. It's just, that's not his way. He keeps it close to the sleeve though. Who knows what's driving him nuts? You know, one day he's just going to explode. The way you do the dishes! And he's, going to punch me. I hope. Okay, let's get it back together. That was a flight of fancy. I'm saying that I'm on top of it because I've trained myself to be. And I think those of us out there, are you responsible? Give yourself a pat on the back because it's not easy. You gotta show up and wake up and get stuff done. And to all the people out there that do that, good job. It took me a long time. I'm always one step behind. But here I am. And my son, when he sees me, he sees his mom. He doesn't know how I've lived in the past. He doesn't know the shit that I've done. And I don't want him to know. I hope he never knows. Here's the most irresponsible thing. I've done a lot of them, but this is up there with maybe one of the best of irresponsible things. It's dangerous, but not like in a, I'm going to fall off a cliff way. It's almost like the cliff of your life. It's dangerous. I'll just tell you, I was, let me set the scene. I was living in Silver Lake. This was the 90s. Responsible enough to be working and talented, beautiful enough to be working. That's how I got jobs. It wasn't through my ability to be responsible. I was barely responsible. I had a musician boyfriend. I think we owned a house together, which I contributed to with my Veronica's Closet money. It's not a big deal. It's an old sitcom with Kirstie Alley. Look it up, you guys. I played an ambiguously gay person. I was going to say her assistant, but Wally Langham, my old friend Wally, was her assistant, and his character was ambiguously gay. So I came on as a guest cast, and he and I were a couple, but you couldn't tell. It was very forward thinking for the time. You couldn't tell which way either one of us went with our sexuality, but we were interested in each other. And then Scott Baio was a guest cast, and we were both interested in Scott Baio, but we were both really just excited about him. I don't remember why I just remember our characters were going to Scott Baio's apartment building. And I also remember in real life eating breakfast and Scott Baio sitting down next to me and going, "Did you know bacon is an aphrodisiac?" That was real life. It was so gross. It was such a bummer too, because I was like, "You're Chachi from the TV show from my youth. Why are you saying this to me?" I think he thought it was like a cool, I don't think it was a pickup line. I just think he thought it was like a cool thing to say. Not cool. We all know that's not cool. That's the thing, you got to feel bad because like he doesn't know that's not a cool thing to say. I wonder if he's still saying it like 20 years later. He's got his gold chain and he's all Republican and he's just like, bacon is an aphrodisiac. Like, who did that work on? Oh, really? Let me touch myself. Okay, that's too far. Come on. let's get it together. Here's one of the most irresponsible things I ever did. So I was setting the scene. So I live with my boyfriend. I'm so accomplished. I look back at my credits. I had just done this sketch show, executive produced by Steve Martin. Yeah, I said it. There's a name drop for you. Do you kids know who Steve Martin is nowadays? Look it up. This sketch show was called The Downer Channel. I'm just saying that as like trivia. I know some people know stuff like that. And anyway, it was one of the sketches. I remember I had a backpack on. One of the sketches was just me being uncomfortable getting a massage. And that was the whole sketch. It's like close up on Jeff Davis giving me a massage. And then close-ups on my face going, yeah, I'm cool. Just relatable. You try to do something nice for yourself and you're just uncomfortable. Anyway, these are all sidetracks to the main event. Let's just say I was pretty successful as a youngster, but I didn't dress the part. I didn't look it. I had plaid pajama bottoms on. I remember them. It was the navy blue and green plaid. There's a name for that. Anyway, I had a large men's t-shirt on, a backpack, some plastic mirrored sunglasses from the gas station, probably headphones. Who knows? Did we still have Walkmans at that time? Or was it the original iPod? Remember iPods? And you just thought, well, you'll always like have an iPod option. And then for years, once they started to get phased out, you still had the option. Like I remember when people were like, yeah, I have a iPod on the side. And now it's just like, yeah, it's stupid to even have one. That's where we're at. I was walking down the street at 11 in the morning, and this girl was behind me on the sidewalk, and she said, hey, in her tone of voice made me think that I knew her, which is quite a skill. She was a complete stranger, but just her tone of voice made me feel like I owed her something or that I had forgotten her. That's what she said in her hey, like, remember me? Hey. And so I turned around and started walking towards her. And I knew as I walked towards her, I was like, I don't think I know this person, but she seems to know me. Her skin was very white, like translucently white. And as I got closer, I noticed she had short shorts on. Everything about her was pale. Her shorts were like pale blue. Her legs were bruised. Like I noticed a bunch of bruises on her legs. And she had really skinny arms. And it was a sunny day. And she was like, how's it going? And I'm like, good. She said, what are you up to? And I'm thinking, what are you up to? Like, what's going to happen right now? What do I look like to her? And I guess there was still part of me that thought I knew her, but I knew I didn't know her. So then I switched over to this mode of like, what is this girl? I was so curious. What does she want from me? I really thought she was going to try to sell me drugs. So I just was going to yes and wherever she was going in the conversation. She said, are you going downtown? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, cool. Are you going to work? No, she didn't say you're going to work. I don't know. I don't remember what she was saying to me. I just yes-anded her because whatever she said, I said I didn't have work. Because then she goes, are you looking for work? And I said, yeah. Waiting to see if my pilot gets picked up. I didn't say that, guys, because I'm down with the people, and I knew that wasn't where she and I were at. So she says, are you looking for work? I'm trying to remember what else she said to me. Anyway, so I said, yeah. And she said, okay, well, I might have something for you. Come this way. And I followed her into this place called Tang's 24-Hour Donuts. And as soon as she walked in the door and I was following her, there was this shift. Like the employees started whispering to each other. Some people went in the back. Some new people came up front. And she took me out in the seating area, and I met my prospective pimp. I don't know how else to say it. she was asking me if I wanted work. She didn't come out and explicitly say it, but as a whore. And instinctively, I was like, what does she mean? Is she going to get me a job at the donut shop? It wasn't until I walked outside and I saw a guy sitting there. I was like, oh, that would be my pimp. If I do good on this interview, if I make it through. And so then she escorted me and she was gone. And her name was like Christine or something. And he's like, oh, so Christine says you're looking for work. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, we do pretty well out here. And their whole deal was they don't explicitly say it, but everything is indicated. And we didn't talk about the amount of money. He just said, we do pretty well out here. And I was standing there with my backpack and my sunglasses, and he's like, have a seat. And I'm like, no, that's okay. Like he right away was trying to power over me, and I was negating it, not very well, but I was trying to hold on to some shred of, like, at one point he's like, put up your sunglasses. Let me see your pretty face. Like, so scary, right? And I asked him what his name was, which again, I felt like energetically was a no-no, because he wanted me to know this is not a real conversation. This is me deciding if you're going to be one of my ladies. And, I had so many questions, but when you're picking up on the social cues, it's like it wasn't my place to ask questions. Like, I wanted to be like, do we work at that shitty hotel? Are you talking about I would make money like fucking other guys? But I think, as the preliminary stages with your pimp, if any of you out there go to meet your pimp, you don't ask all the questions out of the gate. This was like a pre-interview. You know what I mean? It was very clear. We don't get into the details yet. There's a few important things he had to know. He said, he asked me, do you live alone? And I could tell he wanted me to live alone. So I said, yes. And then he said, do you have a boyfriend? You really can't live with your boyfriend. And I said, no, I don't live with my boyfriend. He said, that's preferred. Do you have a car? And he's like, you don't need to have a car. It's actually better for us if you don't. And, when I asked him what his name was, he says, my name is Kevin, but people call me Lawrence. I was like, dude, that is not a cool pimp name. Why did you take a name that sounds like it's from the 50s? Maybe he's that cool that he's picking like an anti-cool name. And so I'm scared at this point. I know I'm telling it and it's an amusing story. It's because it's in the past. But in that moment, my heart was beating so fast. It was in my throat. But I was watching myself as if it was a character in a play. Like, I had left my body and I was looking down at him. And I was like, what's she going to do? Is this guy going to be her pimp? And he was sitting. He did not get me to sit, so that was not a good thing for his power over. He kind of had pimp clothes on. He had a North Face black jacket, a winter jacket, and it was boiling hot outside. He had gold chains on. He had sunglasses on. And he was pulling some pimp moves. He was trying to close the deal on me, He thought I was pretty, which was complimentary. I thought maybe I can be one of his gals. And so Lawrence is trying to close the deal the best he can. He's using all of his best pimp moves. And I'm just dying to know. Like, there's a part of me, I'm just so curious to see what would happen to me if I did become a prostitute that day. Would I get good Yelp reviews as a prostitute? Would I? It's not, I don't want to think about it. Like, it's bad when you actually think about it. Maybe I could have just gone, I actually thought in the moment, what if I just went through and took one trick just to say I did it? Wouldn't that be a good story? So yeah, I was just really curious to see what was going to happen, and when in my life was I ever going to meet my pimp again? this could have been a major turning point in my career had I said yes to him. And I love that I have that curiosity and ability to put myself in new situations, but, you know, why couldn't I have used it to, say, get into a good college or join a sports team or a debate team or learn a new skill? I just put my spirit and my body in harm. That's my way of having a good time. So be careful is what I'm saying out there, you know? I mean, the only time I ever came close to anything like that was when I went up drunk at the amateur strip night, and even though my inhibitions were down and I was fully committed to my dance moves and I was drunk, I still knew very quickly that was not going to be a good occupation for me. I'm just not in my body enough, and my moves are not sexy enough to get people to pay attention to me as a stripper, so that was not an option. So this was sort of an exciting development because it's like, oh, wait, I'm sorry, what? Like, what if I went back to the strip club and I was like, guess what? I'm a prostitute now. Yeah, fuck you guys. You thought I couldn't strip? Well, I'll take that up a notch and I'll become the best prostitute on the block. That's got to be a step above being a stripper, right? And then I become a rapper, and Cardi B and me are friends. Guys, come on. A girl can fantasize. But so yeah, I'm talking to Lawrence, and I finally start yelling at myself from up on the ceiling. I'm like, get her out of there. This is not cool. This is going to go badly. And so then I start smiling and slowly trying to step backwards, and he kept trying to get my phone number. He just wanted the digits so he could call me and set me up. I was that close to turning Johns, to turning tricks, to bringing in Johns, comforting men, seeing them in their time of need. I mean, it's got to be pretty easy sometimes if you think about it. Because if men are calling a prostitute, they need to release. I bet that happens quickly. Or maybe it's hard because you're with a stranger and then you got to make it happen for them. Ew, gross. Okay, so my heart beating. I'm trying to back away. I'm smiling and giggling and hey man, everything's cool. And then I'm like, you know what, Lawrence, after he asked me the fifth time from my phone number, I was like, you know what, I'm going to think about it. And he looks me dead in the eyes and he says, I think you have thought about it. That was his clincher. That was how he was going to get me into his grubby hands and start carting me around like his prized possession, like his best bitch. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna think about it some more. Thanks a lot. Okay, I'll see you later. And I just slowly backed out as if I was at a cocktail party and had to use the restroom, just hey, all right, I'm just going to hit the buffet. I'll be right back, Lawrence. And then I ran out of there. And I told my boyfriend at the time, he was not very happy with me. He didn't find the humor in it. And, that may have been a good time for me to have some psychological screening or go into therapy. But also, on the other hand, I think it's pretty normal. We have these situations. I don't recommend doing that, but I feel pretty good that I did that because I have that experience now. And for weeks afterwards, I just avoided that whole 2-mile radius, and I kept looking around my shoulder to see if any of the other whores or Lawrence was checking up on me, if he tried to grab me, take me off the street. That was the other thing. I will say, it's not like I went into some back room. I was outside. The tables at the donut place were outside. I'd be curious to know if that Tang's Donut is still there. Do you know? Well, that's just, I guess, for people in Los Angeles listening. I guess the bigger question would be, has anybody else had an experience like this? Or brand a prostitute? I don't know if I want to know. Would it be a bummer? What if someone was like, yeah, I did it. It's really fun. I did it for like a couple of summers in college. It's called my husband. I made a husband out of it. He pays me money. He pays me an allowance. You know, if you hoard it out and got a husband out of it, good for you. I wish I was a kept woman. That would be so nice. I would just like keep decorating the house, you know, with my husband's money. I'd be like, I don't like that color anymore. Makes me feel cold in the morning. I want everything to be yellow. That'd be so fun. But yeah, you guys, you know, be conscious of your choices. I remember one time I was working on this movie, and it was supposed to be an LA party in the 70s. What is this movie called? It's called Sunset Strip. It's a real movie. I think it's in my IMDb. I never saw it cut together. Did I play? I feel like I was an assistant with like John Lennon metal rim glasses and a prairie dress. An assistant to the up-and-coming fashion maven of Los Angeles. That's what the movie was about. And like musicians, I don't know. I might be wrong, but that's what in my memory, that's what I'm going to make up what my character was. And I remember this day, people were in the background, and the director wanted it to be more exciting. Again, I was pretty new to the business, and I'm making up that I'm pretty sure this is exactly what happened. It's not like he came to me and was like, I want this to be more exciting, but clearly that in the background, it wasn't enough going on, right? To make it was a party scene. That's what it was. And to make it look like this party is off the hook. And I was in the room with these extras, and I remember him coming in there and being like, okay, for this scene, who wants to take off their top, you get like an extra $100. And I watched these women in that moment, like, mull it over. That's a very specific choice that you're making. And that's how it happens. It seems like a little thing. Like you're like, I'm free with my body. That's a good thing, right? I don't care. I'll take my shirt off. And then the next thing you know, you're a hardcore porn star. In conclusion, I guess one of the questions we should ask is, are you more valuable or less valuable with your top off? Does it make the party scene more exciting if there's a guy snorting coke off your breasts, or less exciting? What if they were like, we're going to offer you $100 to go sit fully clothed reading a book in the corner to make this party look better? That would be a party to me. That would be a party I would want to go to. Also, in conclusion, you know, why not let's make prostitution legal? That would take the thrill and danger out of it, wouldn't it? Let's just regulate the whole thing and make it very transactional. And the federal government should weigh in on the prices of things. Guys, I'm just spitballing here, okay? I don't have all the answers. You know, everyone would get tested. There would be no shame. Guys would just go. Do girls go to prostitutes? Seems like a very male thing. Maybe that'll change in the 2020 aughts somethings. All right, yeah, I'm done here. My work is done here. I'm glad I shared that story with you. I hope you learn to take care of yourself, and my hope is that people who are sex workers are having a good time with it. And go in peace, everybody. Goodbye.